Statistically, only 6% of you are subscribed, so if you're part of the 94% that isn't, please consider subscribing today. Hey ho, SallyVC here, and today I'm doing my 100 subscriber special. Now, I know I've got almost 350 subscribers now, but I wanted this video to be as accurate as possible, so as up to date as possible. So it kept getting pushed back and pushed back. But we don't have any new dinosaurs, and this is being uploaded tomorrow. So I can show it to you. So the way I'm going to do is I'm going to show a dinosaur, and then I'm going to show the baby of that dinosaur. The first group of dinosaurs I'm going to show off are the 4 official Lego ones. So let's start with the T-Rex. So here's the T-Rex. Basic T-Rex mold, you know. It's just the official one with the set, the one that you've most likely built. Then the baby T-Rex that we made. Very simple. There it is, next to it. Alright, next up is the Triceratops. So there it is. No, I'm not going to go too in-depth about them. Yep. And here's the baby. Very simple. There they are together. Alright. Next up is the pterodactyl or pterodon or pterosaur or whatever it's called. There it is. There it is. And here's the baby. Now this baby is a YouTube one. It's one that we found on YouTube. There should be a link up in the iCard for a playlist with all of the instructions that we've used or made. So there they are. And finally, for the official ones, here is the Apatosaurus and the baby. Very simple, very nice. Yeah, there they are. The next group I'm going to be showing off are the ones we got from YouTube. So the first 4 I wanted to show off were the Stegosaurus. Now this one is slightly modified to the one that we found online. We beefed up the legs a little bit and filled in the body a little bit because it was a little bit gappy. We also changed some colours here and there. And here's the baby. Again, link to this will be up in the iCard. Next is the Parasaurolophus. I do really like the technique that was used for the arms, or the front legs, I guess. I think it looks quite good. And here it is next to the baby. A modified T-Rex body. There they are. Next is the Plesiosaur. So here it is. It's got this weird spike on the tail, but whatever. And here's the baby. They look quite good together. Again, a modified Apatosaurus baby. And next up is the Mosasaurus. There's the baby one. Again, I'm not going to be going too in-depth with these. This is more of just a collection. I'm not really going to be talking much about them. I'll also have a link to a playlist of all of my dinosaur videos if you want to check those out. Next up is the Titanoboa. So this was like a massive snake. It wasn't a cobra like this one is with this bit. But this is the one that we found online, so this is the one we used. And we got the little baby, which is nice. Next up is the Megalodon. So here it is. The giant shark. This didn't live at the same time as the dinosaurs. But, you know, it's still like a prehistoric creature that we could make. So here it is. And here's the little baby, which you could use as just a regular shark. Similar with the... never mind. We'll get into that in a sec. Thought I'd already showed it. Next up is the Duncleosis. This was a massive crocodile back in the dinosaur times. We added some little claws on it, I think. I think we added those. Yeah, I think we did. They're a little loose, they come off a bit too easily, but hey, whatever. And the baby. So like the baby Megalodon, this could be used as just a regular crocodile. Or alligator, I guess. Next up is the Utahraptor. Now I can't quite remember, even though it was just a couple seconds ago. I think I might have called this the Duncleosis. This is actually the just said it. What was it? Dinosaurus. This is Dinosaurus, not the Duncleosis, if that is what I said. But next up is the Utahraptor. Here it is. Now, I used to think this was too big until I saw like an image of how big it was. I think this is probably about right. Maybe just a smidge too big, but it probably doesn't really matter. And here's the baby. This is, again, one that we got from YouTube, this baby. And next up is the Arkanon. This was a giant prehistoric turtle. And there's the baby. Now, these were actually soft-shelled turtles, so that their shells were more like skin than they were like what they are today. Next up is the Duncleosis. Now, this is probably a bit big, probably. It's probably not fat enough, and it's probably too long. But I think it looks fine, you know. It's a little bit hollow here and there, but I think it's fine. Here's the baby. I think it looks quite good next to it. And that is it for all of the YouTube ones. Next, we'll move on to my customs. So first, I will show the Ankylosaurus or Ankylosaurus. It might be a bit small and the legs might be a bit tall, but I think it works quite well. Here's the baby. I think they look quite good together. Next up is the Dimetrodon. Now, I believe this actually lived either a little bit before or a little bit after the dinosaurs. One or the other, I can't quite remember. Some people say it should have a taller fin, but I think it looks fine. Here's the little baby. Next is the Carnotaurus. So here it is. Looks quite nice, if you ask me. I think it's alright. And here is the baby. I'm having a little bit of trouble finding them, you know, but whatever. You can see how it's got tiny little arms and the horns on its head. I quite like it. Next up is the Gigonadosaurus. Oh, whoops. I broke its head off. So this is a modified T-Rex. Same with the Carnotaurus, that's a modified T-Rex. So this is a modified T-Rex. It uses 2 sets. Unlike, I think, all the other ones you've seen so far, this uses 2 sets. So it's pretty cool. And here it is next to the baby. The legs are a bit bigger, the head's a bit bigger, the arms are a bit bigger than the T-Rex. Next is the Therizinosaurus. So here it is. It's this, again, it's a modified T-Rex. And his probably more of a child than a baby, but it is fine. Now, originally I thought Therizinosaurus were about this big, so this was my Therizinosaurus. But then I found out they were so much bigger, and I built it like this. My brother, SpicyC, says that I should use the big white ones for the claws, but I actually think these look fine. If anything, maybe these ones should be a bit smaller. But hey, whatever. Next up is the Iguanodon. So it's basically one of the most basic dinosaurs out there. You know, 4 legs, regular body, nothing really interesting with the head. The only really notable thing are the claws or spikes sticking out the feet. Which means with the baby, we couldn't really do anything interesting. You can't really do the spikes on the legs, which is a shame. But I think it's fine. And finally, for mine, is my Dinonicus. So this is like a small T-Rex that lived in the Arctic. So it had some feathers. This does only use one set, so I can't really put lots of feathers on it. Here it is next to the baby. Now, I didn't mention this, but this also uses two sets, the Therizinosaurus. And the Iguanodon, I just made from the spare pieces I had lying around, so I'm not entirely sure how many sets you need to make this, but it does have a lot of like the 1x2s and the 2x4s and stuff like that. Yeah, that is it for my customs. So next, I'm going to be moving on to Spidey CC's customs and Boss Slayer's customs, because I feel like there aren't enough of Boss Slayers to do his own section, and also a lot of them are fairly similar to Spidey CC's customs, and also I want to do it in a specific order where I do like most popular to maybe lesser known ones, so that just makes it easier for me to do. So first up for Spidey CC's customs are the Spinosaurus. Now we've actually got two versions of the Spinosaurus. The more wildly accepted version of the Spinosaurus, the one that shows up in like Jurassic Park and stuff like that, and the more scientifically accurate Spinosaurus, the one that kind of swims in the water. Now this is pretty much just Boss Slayer's one. Boss Slayer saw Spidey CC's original Spinosaurus, which had this head instead of this head, then made a more scientifically accurate version, but changed the head as well. But we just left the head like this. Now, of course, we've got babies to these as well. The movie one and the underwater one, the scientifically accurate one. Now, because we've got two different versions, we call this the Spino Rex. You know, to kind of make it its own dinosaur, its own thing, its own separate thing. But yeah, that's it for the Spinosaurus. Next up is the Brachiosaurus. So this uses two sets. Oh, and the Spinosauruses, they use like 2 or 3 sets. So here he is. He is big boy, big Brachiosaurus boy. And there's the baby. You can see it's a modified version of the baby Apatosaurus. Next up is the Dinonicus, which if you didn't know is the real name or the real dinosaur of what Jurassic Park called the Velociraptors. Because in Jurassic Park, they took the Deinonychus and just called them the Velociraptors, because it was a cooler name. So there's the Velociraptor and the baby Velociraptor. They also had feathers, as you can see. Now, we do actually have a real Velociraptor as well. So an actual Velociraptor, we've actually got 2 of them. Along with a baby. Right there. Also, we have a Pachycephalosaurus, which again uses a similar body to the Deinonychus. And we've got a little baby, similar to the baby Deinonychus, but the head is kind of flipped backwards with a plate instead of a cheese slope and a clip at the back to kind of show the weird head stuff. And we've also got a Dilophosaurus here. It's very similar to the, again, the Deinonychus, but it's got like this head crest. And also, in the movie, in the Jurassic Park movie, it had the quill thing, which it didn't actually have in real life. But you can add them if you want to. Now, we don't currently have a baby for this, but we do have ideas. We have an idea of how to make it, with and without the frill, if we wanted it or not. Next up is the Styracosaurus. So this is a modified Triceratops. And here is the baby with all the spines around it and stuff. Yep, pretty cool. Now these next 2 don't have babies, but hey, whatever. Here is the Brontosaurus. It's just the Apatosaurus with a longer tail. And here is the Diplodocus or Diplodocus, whatever you want to call it. It's just the Brachiosaurus with a longer tail. Now, we don't really have enough pieces to successfully build this yet, so it uses about 3 sets. But hey, whatever. Next up is the Baryonyx. So this is like a bit of a smaller Spinosaurus without the spine. So we made it a little bit smaller, and we used the old head as well. And here is the baby. So it's just the T-Rex with longer arms. Or the Spinosaurus without the spine, either way. Next up is the U-Tyranus, which is basically a T-Rex with fur or feathers or whatever you want to call them. And here is the baby as well. So as you can see, it's just the baby T-Rex with some feathers. And next is the Allosaurus, which as you can see is a modified Carnotaurus. And here's the baby. This has longer arms, since they did actually have longer arms, which is nice. Next up is the Argentinosaurus. This uses 4 sets, and it's a very large sauropod. There is the baby. So as you can see, this is quite large. Very, very large, in fact. And here's the baby. Yep, moving on. Next is the Quatlow Quackless. Now, this is so Boss Slayer modified the pterosaur to make his Quatlow Quackless, and then we modified his Quatlow Quackless to make our Quatlow Quackless. So we took his, made the neck longer, and gave it a much longer wingspan, as you can see. And here is the head design, which I really like. Boss Slayer did a really good job on this head design. So yeah, there it is. And here it is with the baby. So you can see it's like on all fours. You can expand the wings if you want. There it is. Next up is the Gigonadosaurus. So here it is. It's like a small little flying one. Nothing too special about it. Here is the baby. There it is. See, it's quite large next to it, but hey, whatever. I think it's alright. Now, next is actually a modified version of that mold. It's the Dimetrodon, I believe. So as you can see, it's got a longer tail with a bit of a thing on the end and a shorter neck. And here is the baby. You can also see it's got a tail, but no shorter neck. So there they are. Next up is the Magiaro. Fun fact, this is actually SpideyCC's favourite dinosaur. As you can see, it's a modified version of the Amargasaurus. And there's the little baby. Not Amargasaurus. What's it called? Allosaurus? Yeah. No, not Allosaurus. Apatosaurus. Modified Apatosaurus. Here is the Allosaurus. So you can see it's got a shorter neck with the spine, some smaller spines with them close together. There's the baby. No smaller neck, but smaller spines. Next is the Ceratosaurus. As you can see, it's a modified Allosaurus. And the baby one here as well. I just want to say, I'm sorry if I sound tired or like worn out. We just have a lot of dinosaurs, and there's been a lot of running up and down stairs whilst making this. That's why there's been so many cuts. Next up is the Gigonadosaurus. Now, some people were asking to build this. I saw in my comments. So this is a modified Dinonicus. As you can see, it's not got the feathers, and it also has this head crest. Now, it's also got a little bit of a thinner face as well, and some larger feet. I think it's also a little bit taller as well. So with this one, I just removed the plates on the side to make it have a thinner face. Next up is the Chasmosaurus. So as you can see, this is a Triceratops with some smaller horns, but a much larger head crest. Here's the baby. It's got a large head crest. Very simple. Next is the Spinosaurus, I believe. It's got some little spikes down here. It's got some holes with the sort of curved spikes at the top. And here is the baby. We weren't able to do the holes, but we were able to do the curved bits at the top. So that's cool. Next up is the Gallimimus. So here it is. This is a modified version of Bosley's Orthomymus, which, you know, is just the same but with feathers. And here's the baby Gallimimus. Now we could just add the like white clip things here to make a baby Orthomymus, or is it Orthomymus? I think it's Orthomymus. I might be wrong though. But yeah, there they are. Next up is the Draco Rex. There is the Draco Rex. It should be a lot smaller than that, but I think it's fine. Here is the baby. It's just a baby Pachycephalosaurus with this horn in it to show that it's got more horn-ish stuff. Next is the, what's this one called? The name's blanking on me. I think it's Saurolophus? No, not Saurolophus. It's Stygimoloch. It's a small Pachycephalosaurus. And here's the baby. As you can see, it's like a modified Velociraptor, because it's about the same size. Next up is the Compy Raptor, or Compsognathus, whatever you want to call it. We've got 4 of them. They do have some difficulty standing up. It'd be nice to have more, maybe like have 6 or 7, but that's fine. We also have a baby, which is simply just a 1x1 plate. I like to put it upside down, not only because it has the same head as all of these then, like the same like indent, but it also just gives it a little bit more, I don't know, like it's standing up, you know, because like the stud on top could be the legs or something. Next up is the, let's go with, oh, give me a sec. The Kentosaurus. So as you can see, it's a modified Triceratops. Some horns down here, lots of horns on top, with these horns sticking out. Here is the baby as well. It's nice. And here is the Ioneosaurus. I believe that's what it's called. And the baby. It's got these horns sticking up with them pointing out to the side. I think they might actually go like this. No, I don't think that's the case. I think they're like that. I can't quite remember. You can see it's also got this horn pointing forward instead of backwards. Next is the Platosaurus. As you can see, this is a modified Parasaurolophus. Very simple. Not much to it. We currently don't have a baby, but you know, I have ideas of what I can do to make a baby. Next is the Devil Frog. I can't remember the actual name for it, but there it is. We also have a frogling, because someone mentioned in a comment that baby frogs are tadpoles, not smaller frogs. But you can get, like, during a frog's growth stage, there is one called a frogling, which is basically a small frog. And also it probably works better with the size of it anyway, so that's what we'll go with. Next up is on the last 3 now. These ones are kind of anticlimactic. But hey, whatever. This is the Magiaro Saurus, I believe. It's basically a small sauropod with like a big fleshy neck, basically. Very simple. We haven't got a baby for it yet. Next up is the Anurognathus. Arurognathus. Here it is. This is a little tiny flying one. Also got a little baby. Very simple. And finally, quite anticlimactic, is the Carbonimus. Carbonimus. It's a tiny tortoise. Or turtle if you're American, because you call both of them turtles for some reason. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I am exhausted from doing that. Whew. But one more thing. I am going to be announcing properly a 200 subscriber special on Wednesday. Now for my 200 subscriber special, I'm doing a dinosaur building contest. So I'll explain the very basics of it now. You have to build a dinosaur that we haven't built and we don't plan on building using one set. And you'll have to show like a couple stages of you building it as well to prove that you've made it. And if you are selected as a winner, then you'll have to show a few more, to basically so I can understand exactly how to build it. Maybe even show a video of you building it. So I can build it and then show it off in its own video. So I'll do a video on Wednesday explaining all dinosaurs we have planned to build. Obviously you've seen every single one we have built in this video. And you'll see every single one that we plan to build in that video. But yeah, that's a bit of this video. I'll see you on Wednesday. So I guess that's Salut BC out.